Yes, thank you, Madrin. So, good evening, my friends. I hope you're all doing well. I know we scheduled this in the evening. However, from talking to most of you, we realize that this is when you're most available to actually attend a training session. So, for whoever is not here, also, we know that it's best that we just continue because they can be able to access the recording afterwards. But I do hope everyone is here so that everybody's questions are answered and so that nobody has has issues and new questions, and yet we've already held a real session to actually answer them. So I am going to start this session by actually giving you a brief of what to expect. As you already know, you're all members of the Hope Initiative Club, and you are going to participate in competitions, debate competitions that are scheduled for the 30th and 31st of October. I know I usually say 29th to 31st, but it's mostly because on 29th is when we expect our upcountry participants to actually travel to Kampala and sleep at the venue that we've prepared for them. So the Hope Initiative Club in your different universities were created to give students a space to grow as thinkers, as leaders, and as change makers. Through discussions, debates, and collaborative learning, students are meant to explore real world issues and strengthen their ability to lead with clarity and empathy. So, as we prepare for the upcoming inter-university interface, 29th, 31st October, under the theme under the theme Uganda's unending quest for credible, free, and fair elections, each of the 25 universities will be represented by 4 students. And it is my hope that the 4 students from every university are attending this call because you are the ones meant to attend this call the most. So these students will not only engage in debate but also connect with others, share ideas, and sharpen their skills. So this training is going to be held is being held on Zoom for 2 hours, of course, and it is being held to support your preparation. Uh, that is for you to number one understand the value of participating in the Hope Initiative clubs beyond the debates, to improve on your debate and public speaking skills, but also to learn the format of the debates that you're going to use, because a lot of you were asking what is the format of the debate, and I've been answering you, but I think that not not everyone understood what I said. So today we brought somebody who has actually participated in a Hope Initiative Club debate to tell you he's an alumni. And before I introduce him, let me first go on. So some of the areas that we're going to focus on, of course, is the formats of the debate, the basic roles and responsibilities of a speaker in a debate, then how to structure your arguments, introduction, key points, support, rebuttal, and the conclusion, but also the importance of teamwork and strategic collaboration in any type of the debate. We hope that by the end of this you can see the areas where you're going to improve, especially around articulation, clear, confident, and uh, con- clear and confident delivery of tone, pace, and body language when you're presenting your ideas, but also research. I know that I shared a document. Um, Me and my fellow coordinators shared a document which all of you have been privy to, I hope. But most of your arguments do not go beyond that argument, to our disappointment. But we hope that this will help you build a base. But also, you need to realize that we need to use guiding documents to actually sharpen our critical thinking skills and not as a copy and paste type of thing. So to go straight into it, I will introduce our facilitator. Our facilitator is Mr. Asinani Murunji Ateni. He is a former member of the Hope Initiative Club from Makere University Business School. He was one of the founding members and the founding leaders of the Hope Initiative Club at MOOBS. And right now, he's also working closely with young people. And I don't want to preempt everything he's going to say by saying too much about him. So I want to invite Mr. Sinani. Sinani, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Nancy.
Yes, I would like to invite you to, take us away. I don't want to preempt too much on what you're going to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Uh, and a big welcome to all members that are in attendance. We are going to have this very interactive and yet simple chat as we prepare for the upcoming interface. So I would like to actually share my screen. Let me first check. Okay. Can we all see my screen?
Um,
Can we all see my screen?
to and I don't know. I don't know if anyone else can.
Okay, cool. And I don't know if I'm also seeing very well.
Yeah,
I would
we
like
see
to.
you.
Cool.
Yeah, we can see you.
Good, you can see me. So I'll then turn off my camera. I just wanted to introduce myself to all of us. So my name is Asnan Moronji Atenyi. I'm a Muchwezi by clan. I'm a former member of the Hope Initiative. Um, I'm one of the founding leaders, and that was around 11 years back, if not 12. Yeah, and we've been doing a lot of works with the young people and also with the Center for Constitutional Governance. Yeah, so I'm really proud to be having a chat with you tonight. So it's going to purely be interactive, and nothing new, nothing very different, but just to touch base and see things that we need to understand, or maybe things we need to confirm. I mean, things that we already know, but we just need to confirm. So, just a little bit of a background. I was at Makerere University Business School in 2013 when we started the Hope Initiative. I started as a chair. Actually, I wasn't the chair in the first place. I was the publicity. That was my second year. I was as well in the guild as the off-campus minister. So in my final year, when I was the guild vice president, I was the president of Initiative, and we participated in almost all the activities of the Hope Initiative. We still have our group at MOOBS, Hope Initiative MOOBS, our lot. Matthias, I know there are other platforms that you guys operate on. Yeah, and after we had links to other partners like Afiego, where we did a lot to do with energy governance. We've also had a group of different people who were in the guilds. We had different participations in youth leadership. We've had a few friends get into scholarships courtesy of being part of the Hope Initiative. We kept engaging in the debates. We kept engaging in the debates that are not necessarily organized by Center for Constitutional Governance or Hope Initiative, but out of members that were part of the Hope Initiative, we kept engaging in the activities of Center for Constitutional Governance up to present day. Those who were at Sheraton must have seen a lot of us, our former members. We had members as well who have really developed a lot in terms of different works when it comes to working with the young people. We have Evelyn Najuka, who is the CEO Standout Africa right now. Yeah, so she did a lot to do with Standout series, just trying to motivate young people to stand out and live a confident life. To mention but a few, so currently I work with Mayfair Insurance as a manager intermediaries, and I'm a marketing expert. I do trainings with the incubation center at Makerere. I do consultations still on corporate sales, marketing, payments, microfinance. Yeah, I hold a bachelor's degree in science and finance from OOPS. Masters in Microfinance Management. That is from Uganda Martyrs University. Yes, so I'm currently pursuing an MSc still in marketing. Yeah, and I hold a certificate in business process management as well. Then a certificate of proficiency in insurance. I'm going on with a diploma right now. So that is who I am. Yeah. So I'm going to dive into our training. I know I had a lot of stories in the beginning. So it will be interactive, just like I said. In case anyone wants to say anything, they raise up their hand, they come through, they tell us their name and their university, then they talk to us. So basically that is it. So I'll dive into the training. I understand we have just let me put this down. We have an upcoming interface, and our theme is preparing for the Uganda's unending quest for credible, free, and fair elections. Yeah. So first things first, I hope all of us have tried to do research and understand the theme, and I'm very grateful for what CCG has done to see that they bring us together and see what we need to know in terms of training. So I'll dive direct into our understanding of the Hope Initiative as defined by CCG, I should say. So I don't know how these lines actually came around here. Let me try to see. Okay, I'll leave that. So empowering students to become thoughtful leaders and change makers by engaging them in debates, discussions, and collaborative learning that build critical thinking, confidence, and a deeper understanding of real world issues. Yeah. So is there anyone who has been part of, okay, who has been the same from when they joined Hope Initiative up to now? Or if you're to compare the time you were not in Hope Initiative and now, have you realized a few changes or you're still the same? So I may not necessarily wait for the answers then, but I'm 100% convinced that none of you is the same. You've already experienced a lot of changes in terms of how you discuss, in terms of how you critically think, and the confidence you have to mention. But if you just by being part of Hope Initiative, you actually always need one meeting, I should say, not even a big activity, for you to realize and acquire different information to see that yes, there is a big difference here and there. Yeah. So that is basically what Hope Initiative brings the students to us. Yeah. So see. So now I'll go to the value of Hope Initiative. Nancy, I don't know if you can help me erase the lines that have been drawn around the presentation. I don't want to think they are from my end, just for it to be quite clear. But as we continue, so I'll go to the value of Hope Initiative clubs. And this is from an alumni perspective. Yeah. So nurturing leadership and personal growth among students. So as you're in school, I'm 100% convinced most of you should be actually GRCs or in the guild or course leaders or leaders in your associations or in any other clubs that you belong to out there. And Hope Initiative must be one of those that have either enhanced your leadership or encouraged or motivated you to join wherever you are. Then building confidence in public speaking. As we talk right now, we are talking about debates actually. We are talking about discussions. We are talking about engagements. So after even this training, we expect a bit of change, a bit of more build up in the confidence to mention that a few. Then critical thinking, we've talked about this. It does not only stop here, but still even when you're done, because wherever we stay, because I've talked about the trainings that I do not only stop at working where I work, but I do a lot of trainings. I do a lot of team building activities, to mention but a few. Hope Initiative has been very pivotal in seeing that I go those ends. So active citizenship and social responsibility. I am sure right now most of us see what is unfolding in the country with a different eye than you were, and you're able to place an opinion where you believe either change can be brought about or keeping your peers positive in terms of how they live, in terms of how they perceive leadership, and maybe also adding a voice on what could be challenging in your society. So, deepening understanding of constitutional and governance issues. I think most of us have picked interest. I do not think there is anyone who joined Hope Initiative and they have not yet picked interest in at least reading the Constitution, I mean the law of the land, once or twice, or picking interest in really understanding it better. Yeah, then tolerance, teamwork. I mean, when you're dialoguing, there is a lot to do with understanding others, however much they do not agree with you. So the debates have really so much pushed us when it comes to what Hope Initiative does, the conferences, the activities, the engagements. This really comes up very well when it comes to our end. We are always a bit more composed, something that never used to happen. Yeah. So research, even as we talk right now, I've had Nancy talking about giving us the document. I mean, for those who are preparing for the debates, I'm 100% convinced you're out there looking for information, using the AIs, using the Google, asking friends, looking into the history, to mention but a few. All that is happening because of the Hope Initiative. Then access to mentorship and alumni support networks. I'm 100% convinced that being here afterwards, I'll get a lot of connections with you people, whereby either me or you guys can get mentorship so we can benefit from each other. And all it's because of the Hope Initiative. Then opportunities for scholarships. We have a lot of living examples. Most of the members in the Youth Council, we have Angela. These people have got a scholarship submission, but a few, all because they have been part of the Hope Initiative chapters. So inspiring leadership and community impact. Yeah, we know we have several leadership leaders that have been actually part of the Hope Initiative. In the Youth Council, you know, Ayeru, that should be the outgoing president, has been part of the Youth Council. There is McLean there. Yeah, a lot of the of leaders that have come out of Hope Initiative really have really been part of leadership in different areas. Those who have come up to aspire to be members of parliament, including me then in 2016 for the Masindi municipality seat. All this was basically because of the Hope Initiative. If it wasn't the Hope Initiative, I wouldn't really see myself really offer myself out there to serve. And besides that, I was part of the Winyoro National Forum heading the leadership and administration docket. All this was because of the Hope Initiative. So we've been useful in communities as well, besides what we were doing at university. So going forward, now here I want to be a bit critical while handling. I hope the lines are not a problem. Could someone confirm that the lines that came through, I don't know how they came through, but I hope they're not a problem whatsoever. People shouldn't think that that is part of my presentation. It's a bit more clean.
I
So,
don't, maybe because I have a bigger screen, but I can see clearly. I don't know about other people. People, please react with a thumbs up if you can see clearly, or just something to show positively, or if you cannot, maybe some emoji if you do not want to talk.
okay, good. So we see some positive reactions out there. So most importantly, now we are on the gist of the matter. So we want to go to the structure of the Hope Initiative Club debates. So Hope Initiative basically uses what I could call the policy debate format. So we have different formats that we've been using. Mostly, we've been using the English one, where we always have the proposers against the opposers. Yeah. and a few people who have been so much in debate clubs that use the Karl Poppers, to mention but a few. So the reason as to why we choose the policy debate is because of the nature of the debates that we want, the nature of the presentations that we want students to come up with. So I tried to summarize this here for us to see and understand. So what individual speakers do, I tried to talk about the introduction. Now that here we are dealing with us being in institutions, and then the topics. Yeah. Just 1 second. Sorry about that. So presenting the case, when I talk about introducing themselves, this has to be very thorough, because with the policy debate, when you get up or when you rise, you are basically going to make a case, going to say out a block statement. I want to be as lay as possible for us to understand each other. You're going to stand up to represent an institution, and you're going to come up and tell us a lot more about what your take is when it comes, for example, in this case, our themes. You realize the themes that we are going to look at, they are not so much close to the normal motions we are so much accustomed to, like village life is better than town life, very interesting stuff. But here, when maybe someone say constitutionalism in observance with challenges and presents such a theme, it means that it calls for deep research. It calls for someone to come and stand up and make a standing case, to come and sit and look at those presenting and make deep analysis, reason them out, prepare very beautiful rebuttals, and make very good presentations as well. So when you look at someone talking about the credibility of the 1980 general elections, yeah, did the absence of multi-party politics in 1989 NRC elections undermine the principles of the democratic rule of law? So this question already gives you an entire abstract of what you should be having, meaning that you're not just going to say, I'm a proposer or I'm an opposer. You understand? So it means that here you're going to not only look into what you have to say, but look at how best you're going to strategically control the interruptions, how best you're going to convince the judges to believe in what you're saying, and also to critically understand what the judges might want out of your conversations. So it means as you thoroughly introduce yourself and your introduction together with the topic, you are now like giving a keynote speech. In other words, you're breaking down the topic to make us understand what you're talking about, and for us to believe you really understood what brought you on the stage. Yeah. So when you present the case and you focus on the core issues of the motion, it means that if we said constitutionalism as an example, in observance with challenges, what do you need to understand? Maybe relates to our country. Are we talking about separation of powers? Are we talking about the constitution being publicized out there and it being known? Now, are we talking about maybe the rights that people are supposed to really be exercising or enjoying and they're not? What is exactly the judge looking out for? If you go, for example, on separation of powers, how do you dissect through so that we are really satisfied with how you understood this topic? Yeah. So this is what we call making your case, presenting it, focusing on the core issues of the motion. You understand? So like when they say, in what ways did the movement system distort the legal and, democratic legitimacy of elections during this period? Yeah, and that is 1989. So when you get back and get to an understanding, how do you dissect through this emotion? What does the judge need to hear from you? Now, this is why we call it a policy debate. Yeah. So it is like a policy outline which you make and you come out with your own framework whereby you're going to make us really understand and get satisfied with whatever you're doing. Yeah. So when it comes to interruptions, majorly we've been looking at only points of information. Yeah. So these are allowed during specific minutes. How? They could say, for example, Introduction, they could give someone, let me give an example of 8 minutes. They say introduction 2 minutes, you use your other, let me say 3 minutes or 4 to make your case. It means that you would have eaten 6 minutes. Then they give the last 2 minutes to either give information. Sometimes they would add point of order as well because it's crucial, but major information, even if you would love to give order. What does this mean? That this debate format is majorly focused to see that you bring out your case and then we see what you're trying to tell us. Now, strategically, when it comes to points of information, it is not that because someone is your opponent, you just have to start what? Ignoring it. You just have to start letting them down. You understand? It is important for you to at least strategically decline, but also pick points whereby you have to allow. Sometimes the point of information may actually help you be truly informed and you get back on track if you were not. Yeah? But still, someone could be strategically reasoning you out, and yet, yes, they will beat your university. And you know what it means. Yeah? So here, the speakers can either accept or deny points of information. So it would really depend on you, basically. But you should also know that the judges are critically looking at you. At what point do you deny point of information? At what point do you reject? That is, yes, please. Someone is saying something? Okay, I believe it was an error. So that's why we use the word accept or decline point of information strategically. You just don't say, not allowed, not allowed, not allowed. Yeah. Because you may be judged differently. Yeah. So we looked at the judging criteria. So addressing the core issues of the motion, the judges will always come out to tell you that we at least wanted to see you talk about this. So maybe they may want you to cite the law, out of which that talks about the presidential elections, for example. You get it? They may want to see you addressing that. They may want to look at you addressing the multi-party dispensation that we have, how we came from the single one to the multi and how it's operating right now. So it means that the core issues of the motions are so much always looked at by the judges regardless of how good your English is, of how smart you are, they will first thing look at the core issue of the motion. I'm not saying you shouldn't be smart. Yeah, then clarity, confidence, and audibility. Speak the words correctly. You do not need to be smart in terms of vocabulary. Yeah, just be very audible and just be very clear. If you need to be as simple as also, please let the people know, because it would mean that now you're debating, now you're addressing the people. If the people are not in position to understand, then you would be losing it. So I talked about knowledge of what you're talking about. This is very crucial and essential. If you're for and you're representing a university, let me just maybe Amanyire is not good, but Mohanji Edi is good. Please present Mohanji. You would know. Maybe you could have been the best always who comes up to really beat up others when it comes to debate. But when it comes to a competition, the way you've packaged yourself, the quality of your research, the factual accuracy, the examples you give, even if it is on the minority side, they are really going to give your case a good beef. Yeah. Then audience engagement and composure. Let me say smartness in delivery. Have people maybe said something about you and you are not keeping your cool? Yes, you are not showing, but still you're unstable, you're sweating uncontrollably. This is really going to make the judges kind of rule you out. So I hope the structure is very, very clear. I don't know, Nancy, whether I should take questions right now or we do them during the Q&A. So I'll go to the roles and responsibilities.
Asimani, I think
Yes, please.
you should open for a little bit of Q&A, like for about 10 minutes for anyone who has not clearly understood what the structure is. They could come in and just ask for like I think we can take 2 questions on the structure and then move for anyone who has not understood.
Thank you, because we're going to be a little bit faster on the other aspects.
Hello?
My people, please put up your hand so that you may be selected, or put your question in the comment section. So if anyone has a question, please put up your hand and I will give you speaking time. I don't see any hands. Let me see. I hope everyone knows where the raising hand icon is, because that could be an issue. Uh, I don't see any questions. Let me see. Is this one-to-one debate, or there is a question from Faith from Clark International University? She says, is this one-on-one type of debate? And then you can please type your question as well so that they can clarify. Asinani, can you take that question?
Okay, thank you very much. Is it a one-to-one debate? So this is Faith Kobugabe. So it being a policy debate, it cannot be a one-to-one. So it will depend on how many universities they will take per session. If there are 6 universities, let me say, they are going to have their seats, and then each and every person representing a university will come through, and then they make their case. The reason as to why they cannot be one against one is because we're not using the English one or the Karl Popper one. Yeah, the Karl Popper, which has the cross-examination, the prime minister, the government, and all that. So the one we use, you all come and present. Yeah, so that's why I talked about how you introduce your case. They just want to hear out how everyone is really going to make their case. You understand? So afterwards, the audience, or if they said maybe come 5 or 4, it means that the 3 people are in the audience. In case they really want to supplement on your case, they also give them a chance. They come up and supplement, or they raise up their hand and also supplement. So the other question was whether I will share the slides. Yeah, sure, I will share to Nancy, then she can distribute to all of us.
Here, I see other questions. One is from Kasima John, who is saying, are we using British parliamentary debate style? No, I will not answer that question because it was answered already. Then, are all the 4 speakers going to present, or shall we do research and only one speaker represents us? That one, all the 4 speakers will be able to speak at different intervals or on different panels, if I may say. How many speakers are allowed to present in this format? As far as I know, uh, we'll have 5 speakers per panel, but we are still finalizing on that. So, but everyone will be able to speak under this format. So, Sarita is asking if we are to give like an example. Is it fine to refer to like cases, to mention individual names? For instance, if you're referring to an election petition, yes, because that shows that you actually researched. Then shall we be submitting on the same question, or will we receive a different question? It is the same question. Thank you very much. I think we can move on to the next phase.
Yeah, thank you very much, Nancy. I love what Rich has asked. So anything you have to really let me just highlight this debate, be it in parliament, be it in society, be it in our normal arguments, is about evidence, if I may say. You can best argue out your case if you have evidence to back it up. So any example you have, any name you have, any report you know, any statistic you have, please, it is always very, very okay for you to give it in. So I'll go ahead. The roles and responsibilities of a speaker. Now here, I want it to be as individual as you listen to it, as you grasp it. So introducing yourself and your topic. Name, university, and motion, let me say. So which I could relate to the topic, the theme as well. This is very key as a responsibility of you person who is speaking. Some people always come because maybe they have stage fright. I'm saying these things, but I know you will witness them. They forget to introduce themselves. Others have not made enough research and they are with papers and they are trying to cram things here and there. This always becomes a challenge, but it's important for you to get composed and you introduce yourself, where you're coming from, and you explain the theme. Present a clear case. Focus on the core issues. This one, I've talked about it. I've talked about the evidence, the examples, faith, these answers. But here we're talking about your responsibility. Presenting a case, feel free to let us know that if I'm going to talk about, let me say, the challenges, maybe if this might not be a credible election, if you think because we've not had electoral reforms, talk about how you will talk about that case, talk about how you will bring the examples, talk about how you will conclude, maybe by re-emphasizing a few points. Yeah. And you do not forget as well to acknowledge a protocol, or to recognize, or to observe, if I may say. Yeah, this is very important because the judges are human beings sometimes, and we do not need to neglect the old behaviors. Yeah. So when it comes to the case, people who have worked at the helpline call it education. Every time you call to Airtel or MTN, and someone says that they lost their airtime, when they say sorry about that challenge, there they have not yet done education. They come back and tell you that you lost your airtime because yesterday you made a call to this and this number, and you used these minutes, and this is the amount of money that you spent. You will remember that yesterday you contacted Mercy asking her about the time for actually the debate, the training, and that call you had forgotten, meaning that they have educated you to understand. So the things of sorry about that, things of thank you so much for calling Airtel, have a good night, those things may not be as much important as this education to let you know how you lost your airtime. That's why I say presenting a clear case is vital in your presentation. Back it with the necessary examples. Yeah, necessary examples, not things that do not matter here, because even time will be against you big time. So engaging the audience, I talked about this. Yeah. So maintaining tone. I understand when some of us are speaking because of stage fright, our voices start to shake. Our voices start to shake like we want to cry. This happens a lot with ladies, but this calls for a bit of rehearsing, a bit of doing other debates in our Hope Initiative clubs. Just like I said, for us, what we used to do, we would sometimes go into our cultural associations. Like I remember when we had a debate between the Acholi and the Banyoro. So very friendly debates, not necessarily that we want to see who is better and who is not. Sometimes we wouldn't even announce the winner. Yeah. But we try to give feedback on how people are debating. And since it was a bit tribal, people would really see that, okay, I want to see the Acholi really come out strong and debate out this, or I want to see the Banyoro come out strong, or maybe the Banyankole Kweterana and all that. It was only building us more to see that we get enough skills. By the time we would say we were going for an interface, we would have at least like around 15 people who are all eligible to go and present, meaning that we would have a big pool and we just say, let's get the very best. So the practice is key. Yeah. So handling points of information. So here I talked about the word strategic. If you are the speaker and you believe that the other team has someone who has really reasoned you out very well, give them one chance. They're going to ask you a question that you will really never forget. You might turn them down and maybe appoint someone you feel is a bit more weak that you will definitely reason out. And when you're reasoning out, some people, they give them information, they say, let me instead teach you. And okay, it can create a bit of vibe, but you need to always tactfully answer back to the points of information by giving very credible information. If you think this person was kind of just interrupting your time and you're actually on the right track. So you need to be very effective when it comes to that. Yeah. So concluding, I talked about how best you can conclude. If the judges have missed out any of your points, it's very vital for you to come and kind of re-emphasize by summarizing them here and there. Maintain your stance. If maybe the elections are not credible because of lack of electoral reforms, you can maintain it. You can cite out a few examples with concrete evidence on what you think could have happened or what happened that really makes your point stand, or your standpoint, and then you conclude. Yeah. So when you're on the stage as a speaker, the coordination with your team is very vital. If you are four and you're all very good and you feel like Nancy is part of my team, but she can add on this, maybe she knows more cases than me when it comes on this point, please give a chance where necessary. Yeah. So demonstrating knowledge and credibility, this is just because you understood what you were talking about. Only introducing it, but this is a core role that you need to do. So all these things should be actually, if you have a summary of these roles somewhere, they would help you to know how you have to flow. Because if you know that, yes, I have to introduce myself, I have to talk about this and this and this is how I have to, in the first place, summarize how my presentation like has to be. Then I have to also go deep in the case. Then after the case, this is how I have to conclude. Yeah. Then this is how I have to bring in the team. And this is how I think I should control points of information, perhaps, and order. Then when you know that, it means that you're going to flow point by point, starting with the strongest to the weakest when you're making your case, and all will be very well. So I beg to, just a second, yeah. I beg to go to this other slide, a little bit of things to talk about. So this here, we shall talk about how to structure arguments, looking at key points, then how to rebuttal, then also how to conclude. What are the key important aspects that we might need to look at? Yeah. So how to structure arguments. So my number one take is setting the stage. Yeah. Setting the stage. So the way you clearly state your position on the motion is very important. Yeah, I remember one time when we were debating constitutionalism, someone, the way they were stating their position on the motion, came on the stage and said, Ugandans and Ugandan leaders decided to keep their constitutions under the carpet. So they were very angry when they were stating that. And there is a way the judges actually laughed. And he continued in that line to show that actually there has been little when it comes to the rule of law in the country. You need to be very clear on your position on the motion. So just like I said, you explain to us how your presentation is going to be, like defining the key terms, yeah, and from the scope of the debate. You in Luganda they say okutumenyera menyeramu, how you're going to make sure that you conclude. So as you present, you would have made our minds also flow with you. If I am even preparing to kind of come and ask you questions, sometimes I will just try to flow. Yeah. So it's also okay in this case, as you set the stage or as you structure your argument, to provide a brief roadmap of your arguments. Yeah. Just to guide the judges that this is how you're flowing, and also to guide the audience. Yeah. So the most important aspect also in setting the stage is that you grab attention with powerful opening statements or relevant facts. But if you start from a weak area, this actually applies to any presentation, even at your university. Those who have been in high school, you realize every time we would want to answer government policy or pests and diseases, we would want to bring such answers at the last. But the points that would start would be the strongest. Yeah. Then key points. Identify 2 to 4 strong arguments to support your stance. Yeah, even if it is 2 to 3, that is very, very okay. Yeah. So this should be as strong as possible that every time you mention, you will really realize even the judges are nodding their heads. They show that you are on the correct trajectory. So arranging points logically from the most compelling at supportive. This one I've already talked about it. Yeah. So if you're saying that the lack of electoral reforms and the other point is JAT handling Solidos, the lack of electoral reforms might be very key than the one of Solidos. And that one maybe might come some other time. You get it? So everything you say mostly in the case must be something that you think the judges can pick from to give you more points. Yeah. So the rebuttal. Now, On the rebuttal, maybe to add on the key points, something that people forget is that others think debate is talking a lot, but be very focused, be linking back to the topics. If they have given you a topic to discuss, do not start discussing things that do not have any attachment to the topic. Yeah, then be concise. But most importantly, avoid going off topic, because people might start making noise, what they want to interrupt you, and once you lose it, you will definitely lose your flow and you will lose confidence as well. Yeah. So you also ensure each point addresses the core issues of the motion. Just like I said, you get to know what the judges are looking at. So every point you make sure it really addresses that. Yeah. So the issue of the countering the opposition. So you need to anticipate opposing arguments and address them directly. Yeah. Because you may talk about a point and you realize that obviously someone will want to ask this question. So you directly answer back. Yeah. If you are watching someone else actually being the one presenting, here you can identify the weaknesses, inconsistencies, or gaps in their case. If there are inconsistencies, if someone is talking about 1980 and again they bring in 1995, so around there, they have skipped a lot of happenings. You can bring in questions just to, maybe they are trying to skip because they didn't do enough research. Just try to identify that gap and then ask them around that corner. You realize they're going to fumble, and the moment one fumbles as they're answering, they would be losing big time and you'd be gaining big time. In other words, you have identified where they are weak and you can address. If you think maybe someone has not made research about a certain article that they were trying to still give in to back their examples, you can still dig deeper and ask a few sections of that article for this person to just be a bit more what, a bit more down, or this person to give you chance to be the one who's a bit more up. Yeah. So maybe something you can do, you can as well use logical reasoning, not emotional, yeah, just to persuade the judges. Because if you go emotional, maybe because someone doing the rebuttal has really hit you hard, then you're going to lose it. So for you who is presenting, how do you get back after someone has really hit back at you? So you can be logical enough to really play around and to get afloat with the key points that you are doing. Yeah. So let me say conclusion, if I may address conclusion around here. We talked about summarizing your main arguments clearly and concisely. So if you are concluding, re-emphasize, this one I repeat, re-emphasize. If the judges missed out anything, they will again catch it, because trust me, in your case, there's always a bit of missing out. As you conclude, you summarize, yeah? Restate your position confidently. Just like we said, state your position on the motion clearly. So it means that here you restate it. So it means you're linking back to the topic and you came prepared to talk about point X, and that should really thrive. Yeah. Then you can end with a memorable closing line. It can be a quote, it can be a fact, it can be, like they said, a call to reason. You could be maybe suggesting, because maybe in that interface an MP attended and you want to call upon their attention, maybe to move a motion sometime. You can end with something that is quite catchy, not catchy in terms of saying that you're going to say a big vocabulary or to use a big slang, but something that is a bit of a trend setter. It will be something that will really be very, very key. Maybe we could get questions on this slide and the previous slide, the roles and responsibilities of a speaker, and we continue. And Nancy, over to you.
Thank you very much, Asinani. And now, my people, you know what to do. Please raise your hand if you have a question, or please type the question in the chat so that we can get your question clearly. I encourage you to ask as many questions as possible, because you're not going to get hold of Asinani again, and that would be unfortunate if you did not ask your question. So let's give everyone about 2 minutes to type their questions or to raise their hands. I'm watching the chat carefully so that I can see whose questions are coming up, but also to see if anybody's raising their hand. I think there is a question. Is there going to be material provided for preparation before the tournament? Cynthia Lamaro, no. And not because we've already provided material. Please ask your leaders to give you that material. But that material is not the end. You need to research deeper, because at the end of the day, we expect you. The material is merely a guide to your research. It is not the ultimate. So please, I ask that you do more research aside from that material. So Mpata Hamidu he says, what if all sides chooses the affirmative side on that day? What happens? I think that's for you, Sinani. What if all sides choose the affirmative? Then Jovia Navagala says, so does each team present an opposition and a preposition, or can they stand on one side and defend? I think, Asinani, you need to explain more to them about the format, because I think they missed out on what is supposed to be on the format. But for now, I think you can answer those two while we wait for the other questions to come.
Thank you very much. Members who hadn't come in about the format, we talked about this being a policy debate. So the format, we do not have negatives and affirmatives right here. So we basically have your side making a case. If you decide to say you're choosing affirmative, no problem. Come and make a case in regards to your side. What is most important here, things we've been talking about. Let me give just a little bit. When you look at the roles and responsibilities of a speaker, I have emphasized on what you have to do as a speaker. When I talk about introduction, when I talk about giving us a roadmap through what you're going to do, when I talk about making a case, when I talk about concluding strongly, how you coordinate your team, it means whether it's affirmative or whether you're coming negatively, have you assessed this motion and you feel like the judges are going to look, they will be, for example, if in this case, will the judges be interested in hearing about electoral reforms? If you want to center here, will the judges be interested in hearing about the law on which elections rotate? Will they be interested in hearing about how the constitution was when it was promulgated back in, like, for example, in this case, in 1995? Will they be interested in knowing about your knowledge about the NRC, or maybe the elections back when we're getting independence, to mention but a few? When you do, then you make your case around that. The judges want to see the core understanding of this motion, how you present it to us, and how we also get to very well flow with you. Yeah. So here it is not me, Nancy is better than Asnan. Then we say because Nancy has nice hair, because Nancy has money and Asnan doesn't have. That is not how it operates. I can say Nancy has money, and you also say Nancy has money. Then we try to dissect through that. So the judges will keenly say, when it comes to Bishop Stewart University, they dissected the matter in this kind of line. They mentioned about electoral reforms, which we are really interested in hearing about. They were audible enough. They engaged us enough. They rebutted very well, and they deserve to get a 96% as the best. Yeah. So I hope that is very clear. So you feel free to stand on one side. You feel free to practice on that side. Someone who asked about the material, I talked about evidence when it comes to debate. Let's not think of being given material, then we read, then we come and present it. It will not make sense. From a logical understanding of it, you need to go out there. You can ask people, you can use AI, you can use Google, you can look into the history, You can look into books and so on and so forth to ensure that you have really understood your things. Come with your own perspective. The material that they may give you is just a normal guiding tool to just maybe show you the dates, to show you the themes, just a few expectations, and also some things like this training. When you gain this, you're able actually to stand out there and really make it the very best and get your university win, and also you shine on. You never know what comes. Yeah. So I appreciate the questions. I'll completely go. Just a second. Okay. So I had skipped this bit, sorry. So the importance of teamwork and strategic collaboration. So assuming you're four, let me say if you're like in an auditorium, there is a platform or a stage where there are seats for only those that are going to present, and these seats are for 5 people, and that's where the panel is. Then you came with maybe, let me say, other three. I mean, each and every one of those five has other three that they are presenting with. So how do you coordinate with your people? Yeah. So before, as you're preparing, there are easy things you can do because you cannot do everything alone. That's why you realize even here you are very many that are representing the same what? Institution. Divide roles according to strength. If you think someone is good with the law, you can really give them that bit. Basically, here we can say assign speakers based on skills. Designate researchers, fast speakers, rebuttal specialists, and closers. There are those guys who know how to look at someone speak and they know what to ask. When I was at MOBS, there was a guy called Mukama Emma. He knew what to ask and he was very calm. He wasn't loud whatsoever. I remember he asked a friend at Ndeje. The gentleman only had to laugh because the question was really hard. But we only had Mukama Emma for one reason, because we only wanted him to ask those questions in the rebuttals. We had a Karl Popper when we were doing cross-examination, a Karl Popper format, and it was him that was solely doing most of the cross-examinations. Others would be chiller and easy, but he was good. So you can get that person who would basically sit and analyze this. You could have that person who will really help on some extensive research to help some other person who will maybe speak. So this is how the team comes in. If you want to do it all alone, you're going to miss out things because you cannot know it all alone. You need to accept that when I look at my skills, someone can speak better than me. You don't have to get someone who's going to go on stage debating and they say, these are things that are said on funerals, functions, campaigns. In debates, we expect you to speak correct English, first things first. We expect you to speak words correctly. Yeah. We expect you to call an L an L. Yes, these are quite secondary, but imagine if you're all level when it comes to making your case. Yeah. So it means that if you think someone really has a better skill when it comes to speaking, let me concentrate on research. Don't be lazy to do this. Yeah. And I'm not trying to ridicule people's dialects. I understand we all come from different regions. I respect the fact that there is a way people speak.
Mm.
The judges do not have any challenge with that. But just saying that you need to attach skill accordingly so that you can at least be a triumphant accordingly. So coordinating case development. Yeah, so if you feel like your candidate is lacking some examples and maybe they have an iPad which you can reach out in terms of sending messages, please, you can support as much as possible. Preparing counter arguments, it means that you need to have a team that is not sleeping. Yeah. If maybe someone has, by any chance, moved away with it, it is okay for you to come and start by strongly giving a good rebuttal in maybe a few seconds, then you go to your case. If it means preparing so that you can get into the provided minutes to really go to them, or waiting for the point of information so that you can really give the very best, you might need a team member who is dedicated to that, or you might get some of you who will really be responsible for that. It is going to help you win as a team. Yeah. So supporting each other morally, feel free to do some testing. Someone can really introduce their emotion very, very brightly, and you feel like saying Ndeje Oye. It is not bad as long as you controllably say it. So someone can have some vibe and moral support. Yeah. If you think maybe there have been some gaps, just like I've said, and there is any way you can access, you can smartly provide some piece of information so the person goes ahead to align instead of just staying there worried, and yet you're part of the team. Yeah. Maximizing collective knowledge. I've talked about what people can do, but we cannot do everything because after you make research, another person having the law knowledge, another person having the public speaking knowledge, you sit together, you discuss, you analyze, you practice as much as possible. So the practicing and rehearsal, it means that before 30th or before 29th, we are left with at least around 1.5 weeks. You can even call a few institutions around or maybe other programs or courses. You say this course versus this. This is what we're going to discuss. Depending on how this training is moving, you talk. You can get different speakers to present. As they present, you gauge. You say, okay, here now we have the best material. According to the research that we made, this person has truly understood the theme, and we believe they are the ones who will actually represent us. Now that is the advantage of the team. If you do not do some of these, trust me, you're going to be packaged wrongly. That one, like it or not. Then, the last bits of this training, we have the key skills to strengthen. Now here we have articulation. So when we look at the picture to this slide, it is not as clear, but the gestures can show that this lady is speaking clearly and confidently. When you look at the eye contact, they're looking at the person they are speaking to. When you look at the gestures, they're kind of emphasizing a point. And I'm 100% sure, much as there is no voice, they are also audible enough. Yeah. So when I talk about articulation, the second point can easily explain things that we might need to hear out of you or see out of you. How you use your tone, how your pace is while speaking. There are people who are very fast while speaking simply because they crammed what to say. Most of the individuals that always go to embassies because they need visas, some of them go to a few individuals that train them. Maybe go and tell these people that you have a training in the US, you have an NGO. Someone who has been working in a salon goes to say things that they don't know about NGO world. They will just be very fast and they will not be composed and they will just tell them visa denied. But if you know you don't even need to prepare anything because you know what you'll be talking about. So emphasis to highlight key points. So as you speak, there are moments when you maybe need to a little bit, stop to lower your tone or to have it high. I've seen General Muntu, the leader of the ANT, when he's emphasizing his points. You know how his voice goes, and it makes you really want to hear what this gentleman is actually talking about. Yeah. So structuring your speech logically, what I emphasize here, it is important for you to write. You can write or you can type. It means that you would have packaged yourself. Yeah. Here we said use connective phrases. So as you look at a few areas that you're focusing on in your conversations, it means that your speech is going to flow so logically and well, and everything you will use in that speech will be as connecting as also. Those who got a chance to listen to the 2016 presidential debate, mostly candidate Besigye and candidate Museveni were quite clinical when it came to using connective phrases. They were very interesting. Everyone knew what they were talking about. Yeah. So it's because they packaged themselves before coming for the debate. So engaging audience with eye contact and gestures. Our practices will really help us do this because some people, when they maybe go to a debate and when they were coming for the interface, someone made an agreement with a certain girl and they start making them shy, or maybe a lady made an agreement with the gentleman that maybe they will go to club after debate. They start making each other shy while they look at the audience. That will make you go either off topic or make you lose confidence. Yeah, your voice may get a challenge or something. Yeah. So practice, I talked about this. Yeah. So I want to, this one I'm going to be a little bit faster. So so clear and confident delivery. So I won't repeat this. Yeah. So projecting your voice when you're speaking clearly, it means you know what you're talking about. If you know you do not know about something, please just leave it alone. Otherwise, you will be someone who has been speaking nicely, and at the end of the day, you start lowering your voice. Yeah, so people will know, or the judges will know that this person here has lost it, or they are not sure of this point. Yeah. So most of these we've talked about. So we want to talk about research using credible sources and staying informed. Now, if you know you're going to say out a statistic, but you do not know who said it, or you do not know where it is, or from World Bank, or from BBC, or from UBOS, or from wherever, please don't bring it up. Someone who is analyzing critically is going to ask where you got it from. In sales, whenever I'm training sales, I always tell some people something no one will ever want to tell them, mostly people at a high level. It is okay to sometimes bring in a lie. But when you bring in a lie in this case and someone knows the exactness, they will put you correct and also give you the source, you're going to get embarrassed. Meaning that while making your research, please verify. I want to say it again, verify. Feel free to have 2 points, very strongly backed by examples, evidence, good research with credible sources. The judges will really, really like that. Staying informed on current affairs, most of us do not like this, but thanks to the Hope Initiative, I am sure most of us are currently following all the current affairs. Yeah. So that being that, there is also gathering evidence to support arguments. We said that debate is technically evidence. That one we clearly put it. So if you do not have evidence, if you do not have examples that are just like Faith was asking, then don't go in for a debate. Just go in for a normal jazz where you will know maybe you'll get someone who doesn't know and lie to them. But for a debate, it is like a performance presentation. You present with absolute facts, and there you sometimes have figures. So here, if you have data to back, please give. If it is in form of figures, the better. If you need to mention correct years, month, dates, please go ahead and give that. So it will show that you really made very, very, very good research. So you said organize information for easy recall during speeches. So if you have a lot of information, you may summarize according to how you wish to understand it or according to how you discussed it. Don't just punch things from AI or punch things from Google or from books that you've seen. You will end up going to the stage and reading news, and no one is going to really trust in what you're doing. No, everything will even be clear that you just came up with things. You just got them somewhere and punched it in your presentation, or maybe wrote them somewhere, and then you start fumbling. Most importantly, verify to maintain credibility of your case and perhaps the strength. If they have told you something that the former Prime Minister of Kenya, Raila Odinga, died, there are many sources to show, not just your WhatsApp group. You get it? They will tell you that he did, and yet the man is still alive. Or maybe they'll tell you he's still alive, and yet the man has gone to see to be with the Lord. So once you verify, then you come up and tell us that the gentleman passed on in India while receiving treatment. Everyone will say, okay, this is cool. Yeah. So critical thinking, this should be part of us. So debate needs a lot of critical thinking. And this we should know. If you know that you're going to say RIP to critical thinking and only stay on Meta AI, please don't be part of the debate, because you're going to get a lot of abstract things and you want to ask When I was for the conference, I'm sorry to mention this, but I saw someone ask a very abstract question, which was very unnecessary. I think they read it from somewhere. Yeah. So you might even want to ask a question to your own teammate, but you need to think critically. You are asking them maybe to beef up their argument, maybe to also bring them to up to speed when it comes to answering some questions directly. Yeah. So identifying strength and weaknesses in policies or motions. So depending on what you're discussing, you can even just think around the topic itself, and you'll be able to get it correctly by understanding how it is in terms of standing strong or not. So making logical connections between evidence and conclusions. You do not need to get some evidence which is not supposed to be attached to a specific point. You will lose it and you will just be like a pointless or a time waster there. Then anticipate counter arguments and questions. There is something you're going to say, and you definitely know that someone is going to ask about this. When you anticipate, then you know what to answer. And actually, when you know what to answer, you come up strongly. You evaluate your relevance and impact. So, in most cases, what the judges look out for, like I said, is going to come out when it comes to how your point impact what they are looking for. Because of critical thinking, you have to get that side. Then I'll go to some last key points. Then the key skills, strengthen persuasion and rhetoric. Using compelling language and examples to convince judges and the audience. So the audience is basically going to be in the same generational gap. There is no reason as to why you're going to say the motion is going to cause rascality, political gambadoism, brouhaha, and all those kind of things. People may laugh, but no one is going to understand. So you may use some other persuasive language, which is very good, so that the judges get to like what you're talking about, so that the people you're addressing get more attention. Balancing emotion with logic to strengthen impact is very key. I might be a Muganda and someone comes and maybe ridicules the Waganda, and I feel bad about it. So should I continue talking about how it is? Or maybe I went to the stage without organizing my buttons. Someone may bring a point of order trying to ridicule me and how I'm putting on my shirt badly. Should I carry that on up to when I complete my case? The judges are really less interested in that. It will be as secondary as possible. It means that I must keep my cool as much as possible. There is even going on stage and people are making unnecessary noise. That is if they are not maintained. Sometimes you get annoyed. Yeah. It means that you must still keep your cool, not until your case is driven home. So using hard language is also not okay. Going on stage and you start calling yourself all sorts of names, Akari Amagwa, Wasajja Mivule, Atehu. It is also not called for. Sometimes people are just not going to like that. And then lastly is ethical conduct. So respecting opponents, judges, and the audience. You're not going to look at maybe your opponent looking like the way you don't want and you start dissing them in form of bringing point of information. Yeah, it would make you lose points and it would also make your team not focused. Imagine if you haven't presented, it means that you would even become insecure on what others will say on your candidate. So respecting the judges, they're the ones giving marks. So you need to be as keen as also respecting the opponents. It's a debate. And sometimes you'll realize that your opponents are somehow better than you, but you just need to play around and keep your tabs on the materials that you have so that you can be better. If you create disrespect, you will lose balance emotionally. Maintaining integrity, professionalism throughout the debate. Yeah, you don't go to the debates. You have members who have taken some beer before, or members who are doing anything uncouth, being a bit more professional, where we come from, our cultures and all that. The debate has house rules basically. So you have to move by the house rules. You fail to move by the house rules, automatically sometimes you're just thrown out. So these are key things that we understand. Then there are a few things, sexual harassment and all that, still integrity and professionalism. You dress very well. You don't come with a vest. The judges will leave you to make your case and they'll give you the marks, but it's not okay. You don't come with a patra if you're a lady. Yeah. Or you don't come only in a bra. Yes, they'll give you your marks. It's not bad in policy debate. They're not going to say that maybe they're refuting you or something, but you will somehow not get enough marks. Like maybe someone who is putting on their full suit and they're confident enough to come and present. So on this case, I beg to end it here and we handle the Q&A. We have used strictly 1 hour and 20 minutes. Nancy, you can suggest more time that we can use for the Q&A. We answer as many questions as possible or several questions, and then we can call it an evening. And I hope members are up to speed with what they need for the upcoming interfaces. Over to you, Nancy.
Thank you very much, Asinani. This was very comprehensive. Now, while I speak, I'm going to ask some people who are disrupting us, yet they have just joined, to mute. Yes, I mean you all who are just coming in. You have just come in. We've come to the end of this session, and now we're on Q&A. So, so I ask you to mute as you join the conversation, because we're going to take questions. Asinani, there are some questions that were not answered from the previous conversation, and I'm going to scroll back a little bit so that I can get them. So this one, Cynthia Lamara again says, how many preliminary rounds are there? This will be communicated. It will be communicated because it is not the same like it was in Asinani's year, and it probably won't be the same next year. So that much we shall communicate. Another person sharing a similar sentiment, that is Kenneth. He says, how many sessions should we expect? Yes, that will be communicated about the sessions and the groupings. We shall share a document soon that will have all of that information. And then Barriga Kenneth says, am I allowed to pose a question to my colleague in the same university in form of opposing what he or she just submitted? Please, you can answer that one, please.
You are 100% allowed, but that is sheer suicide. You can ask for information. Okay, just to be a bit keen, you can ask for information and you just try to give clarity. Sorry to say this, but let me just say, you can pretend as though you are supplementing on what they are saying. Then you try to clarify so that you can also help them get back on track. If you want to oppose, it is also allowed. But remember, you're all represented by that person. So it is not that the points will come to you as an individual. As a university, you will be losing. So it calls for good preparation, just and nothing else.
Thank you very much. And let me see. Please keep sending your questions in. I think we shall take more questions in the next 30 minutes before we close. So please send in your questions. Then Kasima John says, we there be judging as a team of us. I don't, John, retype your question. I don't understand what that is.
I think he meant whether there will be one judge or it will be a panel. It is always a panel.
I think he means, will they be judging us?
Some people even want to fire questions at their friends from the same university. I'm wondering.
Please Please, Ameto, you did not ask for permission to speak. Mute your microphone and put up your hand so that you can be given speaking time. Otherwise, you're not allowed to just speak arbitrarily like that. So I will give you permission to speak. Use the raise your hand using the icon, and I will give you speaking time. So there is somebody. Yeah, Kasima. I think what Kasima John means is, will they be judging us as a team or as individuals? I think that's what he means.
Or they judge an institution, of course. So it means that if Murunji is representing Uganda Matters and we are four, so if Murunji presents and John is also part of Murunji's team, whatever mistake John does hampers the entire Uganda Matters. Whatever mistake Murunji does, the same. So when they're announcing, they will say the best participant is Uganda Matters University. They won't actually mention someone's name, or they will say Murunji from Uganda Matters University. Yeah.
Yes. So then.
Nancy?
Yes, please. Yes, Madrin.
For the time I've seen the debates,
Yes.
as a team, you're four people, so the other three people are not part of the panel. But then the way you engage, the time of Q&A, the other three people, how you engage, also matters a lot.
Very much, Madrin. I think it helps to elaborate for a number of. Then somebody says, could we have a dummy debate much more? Or are there any recorded debates in the policy format refer to? I what a policy format.
So we are losing you, Nancy.
I think this is maybe at independent.
Oh, I can
Yes.
hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
I'm
yes.
saying it is not much different from the presentations we make on Civic Space TV. And we've had a number of teams already presented. They already came and debated on the different sessions. But yes, there are links that we shall share. I hope my colleague Drake can share the links with the team again, because I know I have shared with many of your leaders. And then this one, but if you want to do a dummy debate or a mock debate, I suggest that you do it in your different teams at your different universities. Then is it fine for a member outside the panel to come and help a fellow when he or she has been asked? The question about whether a person submitting will he or she be seated or standing. I this one is not yet.
This would depend on the house rules, really. It would depend on the house rules. While the MC or the judge is introducing the house rules, this question can really be put to them, because apparently it's fair enough because you're part of the team, yeah. But sometimes it's not allowed. I've been part of an interface where it was okay, it was allowed. They asked a friend and someone came in and very, very well answered. But in other circumstances, if you're presenting, you realize others do not even have space to come where you are. So the better preparation, the better. Then whether the person submitting will be standing or seated, that is also dependent on where you will be, how you'll be presenting. But mostly they are standing. Unless maybe it is online, you can also choose what you want. But apparently, I don't think whether you're seated or standing, you can fail to fairly represent your team. That is if you prepared very, very well.
Yes, I think we have a last question here. Since we are many universities to participate, shall we be assigned specific universities to compete with, or thank you so much. You will have rounds, and in each round there will be people from different universities, and you are not exactly competing against them, okay, you're not exactly versing certain university A, B, C, but the point is each of you is representing your university on a certain panel or in a certain session. Asindani, do I answer that correctly?
Yes. Maybe to also put it in a very easy way, let every university know that they are competing against everyone. Only that, I'm not very sure how the format will be, but mostly, of course, they are not going to let everyone compete on the same date. So they could choose 5-5, then they go into, let me say, like quarterfinals, semis, and maybe finalists, or depending on how the arrangement will be. Yeah, so meaning that depending on the group in which you're placed, you should be sure that you're better than that group so that you get to the next level. That's how easy maybe I can put it. So if you go to a certain group and you fall off, then the winners will just have to advance accordingly. Maybe next time you can come to watch. That is if you are allowed. Over to you, Nancy.
And then I believe there was somebody who wanted a microphone and ask your question if it's
I can't hear you, Nancy. I'm seeing Humai Mazai in a group
Stephen from
knockout.
Clark University. Most certainly, there will be group knockouts. There will be group knockouts. They will knock out certain teams. Yes, surely.
I think after every stage they will have to knock out teams. So if you have 5 and let me give an example, and they are taking 2 to advance to the next level, of course that will be a clear knockout to the other 3. Or maybe if they are taking 1 per group, so the other 4 would have been knocked out.
Okay, the gentleman wanted to speak. The gentleman from Clark University, Ameto Stephen, please unmute your microphone and ask your question. If as Ameto prepares, we have Kaka Andy. Kaka, please unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Hi everyone. My question is very simple. Are we allowed gadgets probably when we are presenting? Are we allowed gadgets?
Yeah, so it depends still on the house rules apparently. So and the gadgets might also depend. I do not expect you to come maybe with a set of laptops, you know. It could be an iPad, well. It could be your phone, but in most cases there could be allowed gadgets, or the house rules could be that you do not have, so that you have your written material very well, and then you're being asked questions and you're fidgeting, maybe typing, going to Google and all that. It would really spoil the flow. So house rules, most importantly. Any other, or
My question was, are we going to have the debate within the 3 days, or there's a certain feature anticipation for it again, or it's the competition is within the 3 days?
Can I respond to that? Can I respond to that?
very fine.
Yeah, I'm just responding to whether the debates will take place within the 3 days. No, 29th, remember there are universities that come from up country. So the 29th is a day that our universities from up country will be reporting to the hotel Arch Apartments, and then the 30th and the 31st will be the days for debates. And then, of course, after the debate, since we anticipate that these debates will take time, maybe they might end late. So students will not be able to complete the debates that is very 31st and then go back. So they will still remain behind. Even it will also depend, even the ones of Kampala, if the debates end late, they'll have to stay back in the hotel and then be able to travel on the 1st of November. So hoping that I've answered your question. And then also about the venue, the tentative venue is Hotel Africana, unless changes come up. But in case the venue is changed, we shall still communicate on the same.
Andy, do you have another question? Because I still see your hand up. Oh, okay, you removed your hand. So, Mpata Hamidu from from Mutesa, the First Royal, please ask your question.
Yes, madam. Now my question was about the debating, and it was like after us challenging or after us debating with a certain university on these very themes that we're having, then when we're going to the next level, shall we be given another theme to debate on, or we shall be again debating with the same theme? I request for more clarification.
It is always a different one given the level. Yeah, it cannot be the same topic now that the judges have already explained what they were looking for in the other particular topic or theme. So it means that the next they will definitely provide more material, more research, and then you look at a different one altogether. So basically, that is how it operates.
To clarify, the theme is Uganda's unending quest for free, credible, and fair elections. There are so many subtopics under that you need to just be prepared, okay? Because there is credibility of different elections. But you guys, I need you to read the research material that we shared, because some of the questions that you're asking could have been answered by looking at the research material. So do the debate rounds happen simultaneously? I think questions as to the format, questions as to how they will be judged, or how many rounds and all those things will be answered because we shall share the material. But for right now, you people wanted to know the format that and you know what is expected of you as speakers. So that is what is going to happen. But for purposes of how many rounds and all those things, how many of them will be held in a day, we are going to share a document, and I really hope there will be no more questions around that. So I am giving people more time to ask questions because it's important for you to ask your question, because if Mr. Sinani leaves the call, then you're most likely not going to find him. So please ask your question now. Perhaps it's a serious case of network, or there are no more questions. I am just going to conclude that there are no more questions. And let me see. I'm looking for somebody on this call. Drake, are you on the call? Drake, please unmute your microphone and maybe say hello to the students, but also help us give our vote of thanks to Mr. Sinani and to all the students who managed to join the call. And yes, everyone, thank you for the turn up and yeah, good luck in the debate. We shall share a recording.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you very much, Mr. Sinani Murunji, for the wonderful presentation. It has been lovely. And to you all the debaters that have joined the call, thank you as well for sparing your evening and learning. But of course, I know there are very many questions regarding format, regarding what will happen. But as someone who has also participated in the debates before, I would love to inform you all that it's going to be an interesting session. Besides the seriousness, besides the sleepless nights that you spend, at the end of the day, the knowledge, the friends, and the networks that you'll make from these sessions that we shall have come 29th to 31st, these are friends that you will, rely on and be with even after the debates. Otherwise, I hope for today's session, we have been able to pick what is necessary, but also I would implore all of us to go ahead and read beyond the research material that Nancy, Simon, and myself shared with you a few months back, because this year's theme is very informative. Of course, we are looking at the credibility of numerous elections from 1961 to date. So I would implore all of us, the debaters on this call, please, please, and please read as much as possible, because you are going to be judged by a panel of very informed and at some point senior citizens as well. So your ability to analyze and put together the things that you have read, but also to relate it to the current context would go an extra mile to make you the best of all the other candidates. Otherwise, all the best to you all, and we shall keep in touch. But also to Mr. Sinani, once again, thank you. Our default, that is Afoyamatek, and yes, in Uganda they say mwebale nnyo. I'm not a Muganda, but at least I can say that. But to Nancy and Simon for the work that we're doing as well, thank you. So allow me close this session and wish you all a good night. Let's just humble ourselves with a short word of prayer, and we can call this conversation off. Lord, our loving Father, would like to thank you for the gift of life. Would like to thank you for the gift of this session, and for the ability to be in position to go ahead and articulate all these issues that we have been in position to learn from today's session. We pray that in our various preparations in our various universities, we are able to emerge victorious, and in whatever that we do, we are able to not only comprehend, understand, but also grant us your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to execute all that has been shared today. Lord, bless us, be with us, and as we go to rest, as we go to sleep, please be with us and take us throughout the night, but also throughout the rest of the week. We pray all this through Christ our Lord. Amen. Nancy, over to you. Thank you.
Amen, amen, amen.
Yes, thank you so much. I just seen communique from Simon. He said some participants have not registered, and I would just like to inform you all that if you've not registered, please do not, do not, do not. And to everyone who has been able to join the call, my people, I am grateful. I know it's been difficult. Some people were not able to join because of network issues, and we promise that we will share. We will share this recording so that they can get a feel of what we were talking about. They can hear your question. Maybe they will relate, maybe not. But I am glad that everyone was able to come in. Mr. Sinani, thank you so much for your time and for the patience with us this evening. Also, great thanks to Drake and Simon for for being a good team with me, and for Madrin for hosting us until the end. Thank you so much, everyone. Please exit the call at leisure, and good night to all of you.
Nancy, I hope everyone has shared their details in the chat room.
Yes, I said that,
For the
but
calls. Yeah,
at this
okay.
point, I think we've reminded them enough. So if somebody has not, had luck. So good night, my people, and good night, Mr. Sinani. Good night, everyone. Yeah.